Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador, and thank you so much, sir, for granting us Cambodianess and my digital media the opportunity to interview Mr. Ambassador here at the embassy in Phnom Penh, Mr. Ambassador. Sir, between Cambodia and France, of course, for the last century or so, there have been so many heritage cooperation in restoration, in research, culture, starting from, of course, the very first time the French conservator of Angkor came to Siem Reap since the early 1900s, and also, of course, many major restoration in West Mebon, in Bapun in the mid-20th century, and also after 1993, Mr. Ambassador. So, sir, my first question to you, just to know your perspective, your idea. What are the major things that France and Cambodia have cooperated in terms of, culture and also human resource, scientific and technicality of the cultural cooperation, Mr. Ambassador?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for coming to the French embassy. Most welcome. And as you mentioned, right from the beginning, between France and the relation between France and Cambodia, patrimony, heritage, archaeology, science has been right from the beginning part of our relation. As you know, that the first travelers who discover Angkor and Angkor Thom and all the site of the temples in the 1860s, and then you have the EFEO, Ecole Française d'Extrême-Orient, start to be active at the beginning of the 20th century, 1902. And since that time, there's a very long history of partnership and exchange. From 1902 up to 1972, 73, when, because of the Civil War, all the archaeologists and researchers had to leave the country, only France was working on the sites. And but since that time, and after the period of the Khmer Rouge, and new country also came to cooperate, which is good. So we have many other countries, but that has been always part of our. The DNA of our relation is based on heritage, patrimony, and we can see so many big events across history where France also promoted Angkor, Khmer civilization, Angkor, here in Cambodia, but also in France. There was a huge exhibition in 1931. There was a huge exhibition in 1906, where your first King Sisovat, did travel from the first king of Cambodia, who traveled from Cambodia to France. And then we have the conservation of Angkor, and after the Paris Agreement, we also have been chosen by the international community with Japan to co-chair the ICC, the International Committee for the Conservation of Angkor, which is still working very efficiently, and we have been co-chairing this framework, this process for the last 30 years. And more recently, we are now having this big project on West Mebon, and in few weeks we will have this also a very important exhibition again in Paris, in the Musee Guimet, where we'll have the great Reclining Vishnu, which has been restored in France during the last month, and it will be a very important exhibition focusing on bronzes, and we expect something like 150,000 visitors for this exhibition, first in Paris, and then this exhibition will travel to the US, hopefully. So you can see that it's part of our very important component of the relation we have. And just also to emphasize, because of this long-standing relation, most of your archives are in French, including for archaeological and Khmerology and science. So my plea is that young Cambodians interested in history, interested in their own civilization, have to know a bit of
how
French.
to speak French,
Because
read French.
those archives are very, very precise, very rich. So you need to know French language to have access. So that's also something we are looking at.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. And following up, of course, to the cooperation in culture, because the Angkor Park was registered in 1992, which is, of course, quite some time ago. But another region of Cambodia, an archaeological complex also in Kampong Thom province, is the Sambo Prekuk archaeological compound or complex. It was registered not too long ago in 2017, and as I was informed, the ICC Sambo Prekuk, the committee who will handle the Sambo Prekuk restoration, preservation or development, will be also co-chaired by France, Mr. Ambassador, with Japan, of course, just like ICC Angkor. So why France decided to jump to Sambo Prekuk, Mr. Ambassador?
No, yeah, I mean, it's the same ICC.
Oh, the same ICC.
It's not two ICC different. It's one ICC, which was ICC Angkor, and then later on, Sambo Prekuk was integrated. So when we meet twice a year, there are presentations on the site of Angkor, but we have also presentation related to the site of Sambo Prekuk. So it's, I think it's, you know, this framework, ICC, it's unique in the world. I think Cambodia is the only country in the world who decided to have this kind of framework to look at the way things have to be restored, developed, protected. And thanks to this framework, we have been mobilizing a lot of more than 600 million USD coming from different countries to promote and protect the site of Angkor and Sambo Prekuk. And then you have another ICC, which is covering Preavir Temple, and that's co-chaired by India and China. But it has been done on the model of the first ICC. And I think it's a unique model, it's very efficient, and it shows that Cambodia trusts the international community to partner with the country to promote the place and to protect. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. But if I may ask a bit, like you said, ICC is a very special model, a very, one of its kind, let's say. So how, I mean, why did you consider that to be one of its kind, sir? Like, is it because no other places conduct the same committee, or only special?
I think in some places they try to copy the model, but it didn't work. Because, when you have archaeological sites, usually governments are very keen to take their own decision. As the co-chair of the ICC, I don't take any decision. I have no power at all. The only power I have is to convene and to co-chair the discussions. But then you have a number of experts, international experts, who are visiting the places. They look at the restoration, they look at the research, they look at the way to develop the place, they look at the touristic dimension of the place, they look at many aspects, and their recommendation has to be followed. So you have your own authority, Apsara, which is working very hard and very efficiently, but their work, and the ICC is coming twice a year, look at how it works, make recommendation, look at if the recommendations are implemented. And they have this power to make recommendations, and those recommendations are followed. And that's because Cambodia, I think it's one of the only country, trust the advice, the expertise of foreign experts. And thanks to this way of doing things, we were succeeding in mobilizing countries to act in the framework of, and then you have some rules, recommendation, as you know, for instance in Siem Reap, you cannot build high buildings, and so there are things to protect the authenticity of the place, and taking into account also the population who is living in, because Angkor has a particularity to be a living place. It's not just a museum, it's not empty temples, it's a lively place, and so also we have the local population also has to be also part of the project.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. And also, this, the model of ICC Angkor will be, implemented similarly to, of course, Previ here, as you mentioned. Yes,
exactly.
And Mr. Ambassador, back to Sambo Prikok a bit. I mean, why Sambo Prikok is so important to France in this sense, and what do you hope to do or to make out of Sambo Prikok?
No, Sambo Prikok is just important because it's a pre-Angkorian site. It's before Angkor. So I think it's more the wish of the Cambodian authorities to also allow this site of Sambo Prikok to be also integrated and to have the beneficiary of the expertise, international expertise. So it's not we, France, who decided to have Sambo Prikok. It's a decision coming from the Cambodian authorities. And I think it makes sense because there's a lot of similarity between the two sites. There's a continuity, and it's good that there's this more global approach of your heritage. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. So at the end of this month, in April the 30th, of course, in Paris, Guimet Museum, there will be a very special exhibition, of course, featuring the bronze statue of the reclining Vishnu, as I was mentioned, the biggest bronze statue ever discovered in Cambodia so far.
Yeah.
And for the past several months, the statue have been in France in many scientific institutions. I saw the photo. They do X-ray. They do very meticulous research on the bronze object. Again, Mr. Ambassador, why such heavy work have been done to the statue? I mean, what do the research society in France want to know so much from the statue, Mr. Ambassador?
Because we are as a country, but we are not the only country. But for France, patrimony, heritage is very important. As you know, the first travelers, they were very interested in the arts. So with the agreement of the king at that period, artifacts have been, moved to France. Then there's Mr. Guimet at that time, was a scientist, and he was collecting artifacts. And then they opened this museum because we have I think in France we cherish art, culture, civilization, patrimony. And then the museum did develop. It's a museum devoted to Asian arts,
yes.
Not only Cambodian. But if you go, I don't know if you've been to the museum. I hope you will go.
I've been there.
You've been there. You see that the space for Khmer art and civilization is one of the most beautiful part of the museum, and then we think that in the relation we have with Cambodia, we have to exchange, we have to promote the better knowledge of this civilization, and there are many Cambodian experts, and then we saw in the very broad relation we have with Cambodia. As I mentioned to you, this heritage patrimony dimension is important. We decided and we offer the possibility, the opportunity to restore this very important reclining Vishnu,
yes.
which, by the way, has been discovered in 1936 by a French archeologist who was working on the West Mebon, where we are now working. So it's the kind of logic in what we do, and we are very happy and very proud to promote Khmer civilization in Europe, and even, as I mentioned, in the United States, because there is a project to have this exhibition circulating in the US. So I think I have no more answer to your question than the simple answer to say that we think that it's very important for Cambodia also to strengthen the knowledge of the civilization. And by the way, ICC was asked by King Sihanouk when King Sihanouk asked to put Angkor on the list of the UNESCO list. it was it was outside all the regulation, because to have a site on the list of UNESCO, you need to prove that you have the institution, you have the capacity, and you have the project to restore the place. But remember, in 1992, Cambodia could not do that because you were just, having the Paris Agreement. But I think the whole international community listened to King Sihanouk, and all we understood that Angkor is so important for the country. I think you are the only country in the world which has a monument on the flag. And that shows how Angkor is very important for you. So we knew that when Cambodia, after the Paris Agreement for the reunification, for the development of the country, this place was important. And that's why we devoted a lot of energy to improve and to restore and to protect.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. Connecting to the Reclining Vishnu, of course, to the Western Mebon temple, where the statue was found under the ground or under the water during the rainy season. Of course, since the early 20th century, Western Mebon, I don't know, sir, but I think it has a place in the French restorer's heart, because many French restorers have passed the baton to one another, restoring the temple, although it was hindered by conflict or stuff like that, Mr. Ambassador. So is there any comment you want to tell the Cambodian people about the Western Mebon? And, for example, if it means so much to the restorer, how does it catch the attention of a Frenchman in France?
No, I mean, I don't have all the details of what happened in the 1930s, but the temple is really unique because it's a temple in a Baha'i, and inside the temple you have a small Baha'i. I mean, so the signification, the complexity of the place, I think, has interested the archaeologists. And they, as I mentioned, in 1936, they were exploring and they found this big Vishnu, and they were very impressed and by the beauty of this statue. And so then there was a continuous research done, and as you know, in the 1990s, from 1995 to 2010, we devoted our energy on the Bapuan. And once the PowerPoint had been achieved and inaugurated in 2011,
2012, something like that, Mr. Ambassador.
Then at that time, the archaeologists, the architects decided maybe now we should devote our energy to another place, and this place is quite unique. So we hope we will succeed. It's a very complex restoration. We've been working for more than 6-7 years, I mean, maybe more. And we already, I think, put $6 million US dollars to restore and to improve the place. Yeah.
The Western Mebon alone, Mr. Ambassador.
So that's
a lot of...
No, that's that's what, I mean, and my wish, to be honest, my wish is to see more Cambodians, people who have companies or private companies or public companies, or to also participate to the financial efforts, because this is a patrimonial heritage which belongs to Cambodia, and for the timing there are very few Cambodian companies, private companies or investors who devote money and funds to
the
restoration of temples, because restoration is never ending. Because and in some places now we maybe need to restore the restoration, start to restore restoration which has been done 80, 90 years ago. So it's a never-ending job. Never-ending job. But it's a for Cambodia it's so important.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. Also, there are, common, sometimes they say, some of the artifacts were in other countries, such as France or maybe the US. some they say, oh, what if the possibility that some of the artifacts can be repatriated back to Cambodia, and also some other comment they said, oh, you should not do that because if you put there, it is also a good signal, for the Western countries to show the Asian art to the broader world. And of course there are also the agreement, I think, in the 1970s that forbidden, or maybe not forbidden, but to allow stolen artifacts to be returned. So there are many things going on, and the average people may feel a bit not really familiar with the law and the culture. So for you, Mr. Ambassador, so is it possible for the repatriation to be conducted, or is there any other?
No, I mean, I follow the news, and I think I know that there are many artifacts coming back from the United States because they were illegally sold and they were smuggled. But it's not the case in the case of France. Sorry. Because all the artifacts, there are 60,000 artifacts in Musee Guimet coming from all Asia, and there is no the issue of having these artifacts being illegally obtained. So, but by the way, we are more in another approach, which is the approach of partnership. And that's exactly what we try to do with this exhibition. We cooperate, we restore a precious artifact, we exhibit in Europe, then it will come back. Then we can also have some exchange of artifacts. Some artifacts could be exhibited in Cambodia, some artifacts from the museum to France. And we are much more in a spirit of cooperation, of partnership. I remember in 1996 when King Sihanouk paid a visit to Paris. I was with the king and the ambassadors at that time, because we gave back to him a statue which we took in 1970 to be restored, but then because of the civil war and because of the Khmer Rouge period, we never had the opportunity to give it back, and we did it in 1996. Because that time peace was back, and I remember King Sihanouk was very happy for that, and it was a very strong moment where you see and I'm very proud of, I think, what France does with Cambodia on that issue, because it's a strong partnership, and now we have even the project to work together for the renovation and extension of the museum. And I think that once the museum will be, the National Museum of Phnom Penh will be renovated and extended, it will give even more space for those kind of partnerships and kind of collaboration based on science, based on research, and to promote. So this debate is not something which is concerning the France and Cambodia relation.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. And also, you have mentioned that there are possibility to rehabilitate the heritage building in Phnom Penh, because so many buildings in Phnom Penh which are today more than a century old are also part of the colonial era. So there are projects.
I mean, in Phnom Penh you have a rich heritage which is not only coming from the protectorate but also from the 50s, 60s. Because at that time you had a very strong architects, and there was a modernization of the city, and you have very nice buildings. And I think, and we think that if you succeed to restore, to promote this patrimony, this heritage, Phnom Penh can be a strong destination for tourism, because you have a real, the center of Phnom Penh has a unique authenticity. The risk is that the risk is to build big buildings and to demolish the old buildings. But so on that issue, we also are happy if we can cooperate with Cambodia. I think that, for instance, the city of Paris would be interested to have exchange on that, and And I think that the Minister of Culture and Fine Arts are also very conscious of the fact that this heritage, and even the City Hall of Phnom Penh has this idea to see how to protect, how to renovate, which is not easy to do, but I think it's much needed, and it could give Phnom Penh even more attractiveness.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. And also the following question, like you said, in 1931, there was a very big exposition in Paris. Of course, there are many photos featuring the replica of Angkor Wat in Paris, made from plaster, I think. And as a person who follow heritage on social media, many photos of that, replica of Angkor Wat, is shared on the social media, and many Cambodian people actually cherished seeing the photo because it's in another place, a different world. But it was in 1931, a long time ago. I was born a bit too late. So in the future, Mr. Ambassador, do you think maybe there are big exhibitions like this, that can welcome Cambodian people over there?
First of all, before 1931, there was 1906.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mentioned to you, 1906, there was an exhibition in Marseille.
Marseille.
And that's why King Sisovat took the decision to take a boat for 3 weeks to come to Marseille, where he has been welcomed. I mean, it was incredible. I really, Sosoro Museum organized a few months ago an exhibition on that issue, and there is a catalog, and the book, and one of the ministers traveling with King Sihanouk wrote a journal, a book. Yes. And so that exists in Khmer. It has been translated in French. So, and it's incredible. When the king of Cambodia was in Paris, moving in the city to go to some meetings, thousands of people were in the street to welcome the king of Cambodia. I really encourage you to look at that period of history because it was incredible. First time the Royal Ballet, first time the Royal Ballet played outside the Royal Palace was in Palais de l'Élysée in Paris. The first time. So it's a long story. I don't know. It seems that nowadays we speak about virtual reality, immersive exhibition. Yes. So I'm not sure that there will be next big Angkor Wat, but I think there might be other means to try to give the audience the feeling of what was the life in Angkor during the empire. So let's see. This exhibition we'll have in Paris in April will be a big exhibition from May to September, and I'm sure that in the future we can, museum in Phnom Penh in the world will continue to work on that site, which is quite unique in the world. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. Just to hear your comment on Siem Reap, because you have been there many times, and of course, Siem Reap has many things to do. Of course, is there any particular place or temple or food or activity that you love about Siem Reap, sir?
First of all, beside the temples, I want to emphasize that France is very active in Siem Reap. We have been we have been working on water supply for the city, and we have a new project on that topic. We just opened a new international school in Siem Reap, because we think that French francophonie has a potential in the city, where we have more or less 500 French people living. 10% of the French living in Cambodia are in Siem Reap. We have many. We have the school, Ecole du Brûle school, which train for the hospitality. We have many hotel, restaurants run by French people, and so forth. So it's a place where I like to go, and I go often. And in the temples, I mean, obviously I had the privilege to participate to some gala dinners in front of Bapwon, which is quite magical, or other temples. So that's quite unique. But also, I like to bike in the in the park early in the morning, which is quite impressive. I personally like very much Prerup temple. Prerup temple. And,
why, Mr. Ambassador?
No, because I like it's not in stones, it's in bricks, and I like the shape. It's like a mountain, and I like the place. Srang also, Srang is also a place I like. So I even ran the half marathon in Siem Reap, and which is quite unique because you run around the temples, and it's very nice. So it's a place where I like to go, and I hope that the development of the place will be well managed, and that because the risk of such a unique place is to have surtourism. I don't know if we say that in English. Over tourism.
Over tourism.
You know,
mass tourism.
If you have mass tourism, and it's very fragile. The temples are very fragile. So that's a big issue. How to balance the protection and the promotion of the place. Yeah. But that also is discussed in the framework of ICC. We have this kind of discussions with Minister of Tourism, Minister of Fine Arts and Culture and Fine Arts, Apsara. So that's very interesting discussions. Yeah.